Good afternoon. Welcome to Show Studio Head to Head. I'm delighted to say that our new friend Sharmadean Reid is back with us. Yes.
Hi.
We're going to discuss Milan today, and I would like to start by discussing Versace. I don't think it was the most important show in Milan, but I think there's something to say about the way Donatella brought back who she is. Everybody was saying she let go of Gianni finally and did what she is, which I think it's a tiny bit difficult to say because it's been so long now. So Versace is Donatella Versace, but it was quite surprising that there was almost no evening wear, no cocktail, little bit slutty wear, but it was rather refined day wear and still sexy because Versace is synonymous of sexy, but quite refined. And she managed to do that by keeping some signature of Versace, like the cut-off cloth on the back, like the very open slit on the legs, where she said there was a zip hidden inside, so you can close it completely or open it completely if you want. So I know you're not very enthusiastic about this show, so I would like to hear the reasons why.
Tell me when you started out, you were saying you think this is Donatella Versace. Who do you think she is? Like, if you say that this show is very Donatella,
yeah,
who is that? Because this is my issue with it. I'm like, I don't know what she's into.
Well, I think she is someone who had to find her way after the big name of her brother, to keep the brand going with the DNA of the brand.
Not her path. Like, what's she into?
Well, I need to tell you what she's into.
Man.
And then she found it by going probably too far away in the way of, just doing glam and red carpet, and because actually her following are those people, especially in America. But actually, I think she's a working woman. She's a hard-working woman, weird as she can be, and we don't know exactly how she reasons because she, when she talks, you barely understand. But she's a working woman and she's an entrepreneur, and so suddenly she's designing for real women that go to work in the morning. They just don't, wake up and go to a party every day. As she actually said in a video, I think, to Tim Blanc, she said, life is not a party, life is real. And I think that's it. That's what she gave us.
It's almost so real, it's banal.
Okay, can you elaborate on that?
I just don't, it just doesn't move me in any way. It's like, I love the House of Versace, I love it, like historically. I've always loved the glamour and the fantasy, and I just think that nothing about this says anything to me. And I know quite a few people are like, this season everyone's like, oh yeah, there's so much diversity on the catwalk, there's so many like real girls mixed with like models and black girls and mixed with white and old and young, and I was just like, this just reminds me of like really boring like skinny white girls just wearing clothes. It just doesn't say anything to me whatsoever.
Well, I think clothes-wise, maybe it says more to me because I never really liked the over-glamorized style of Versace. So it's interesting to hear that, because for me this is a step forward to something relevant, and for you it's a step backward, if I understand well.
If I just saw the photos, I'm not sure I would be able to guess the designer.
Oh, really? Oh, no, I think there is Versace everywhere.
If you take logos out of something, could you tell who made it? And I'm just like, maybe it's because in the last few years, I'm not a fan. I've not been following, I've not been looking. Weirdly, I actually loved the last collection. I loved the campaign, everything, because it has this really graphic leopard print that I love, those kind of graphic prints, and the colours were quite odd and jarring together, which I really loved. But I just think that this just does nothing for me, and sometimes that happens, right? Sometimes one thing can be perfect.
But where I disagree is that you don't see Versace here. I see Versace in every look, in the block colors, in some prints, in the cut of the skirts, in the cut of the dresses.
This dress you think is Versace?
Yes, completely. completely. Plus sleeves, which
Yes,
is probably the
yeah.
difference. But that's
shoe,
that's sort of
the kitten heel boot, like it's just not that hot.
I think there's something in the way she cuts her clothes, like it or not, that make women feel sexy. And these models, I've seen them for the whole month. I think they walk in a more powerful way in this show.
In these clothes.
And I repeat, not my cup of tea, I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
However, I really thought she did well here. I really thought she gave us, and all, again, you know, we talked about that last time, you know, commercial is not a dirty word, but actually people need to sell clothes.
Yeah.
These clothes are completely wearable.
They're totally wearable.
And that's probably what
maybe
annoys
I'm just
you.
not at all.
Oh.
I like the idea that you can go and buy things and wear them and feel good. I also love the idea that as you see them, you might be able to think, okay, this is a shape I can actually, I'm not going to be able to buy these clothes for 6 months, or that might change the way that fashion is going now. I may not be able to buy these clothes for 6 months, but I can buy into this look, this feel, by something I have now or something I can buy or be now. Maybe for me, I'm just not educated enough in the language, the current language of Versace, to think that this is a very Versace collection. Maybe like this colour I always associate this acidy, like
yellow,
green,
greenish,
yeah. But the pink and the blue, like it just doesn't do anything for me at all. I don't want anything, and I wouldn't, if my friends were wearing it, I wouldn't be like,
oh,
that dress is sick, where'd you get that from? I just wouldn't. I'd be like, okay, you look cool, you look expensive.
But can you
look expensive, but not like...
Well, but that's very Versace to look expensive,
definitely.
which is not the case with all the brands. You know, for some brands, that's... But can you separate the... I know you can, but separate the I like it or I don't like it, but that was interesting and good and relevant.
Of course I can do
if
that,
you separate for a minute the
disagree.
fact... Okay,
Yeah,
so you
of
still
course
don't
I can.
think objectively.
Of course I can separate it. There's plenty of, you know, you look at shows and you're like, that's not... You look at anything in culture right now, you're like, that's not for me, but I appreciate the aesthetic, the understanding, the vision. But I just don't, you know, and it sounds really bad because I usually am not so... I'm not so like divided.
You're more grey than black and white?
Yeah, like I'm a Gemini, so I can have two opposing
been,
arguments at the same time.
Well, I'm the opposite, but
for
that's
this,
fun.
I'm just like, no.
Okay.
And that headband, everything, it just doesn't feel like... I know people love it. Like, I've read the reviews. I know people think this is really good, but it's just not for me.
But it's funny
and
because
it's like,
even...
I don't want to sit here and be like...
No,
yeah,
and I
it's
appreciate
you know,
that.
Everyone thinks this is cool. It's really grown up and blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, right now, at this very juncture, you know, being here in London in March 2016, there is nothing about this right now, or I believe in the next 6 months, that kind of speaks to me or
Fair enough.
what's going on kind of right now.
But you know, I must say that I was there, so I saw this show before the review and everything, and I was surprised for how much I liked it. And I guess, I repeat, I think this is the exact reason for how much you dislike it. Because of
up.
where... Thank you. No,
I said grown up, not old.
Well, now you said it. No, it's because from where we come from in our appreciation of Versace. And I know that Donatella Versace has done a good job still today, because after the tragedy, she got herself back on the saddle and made it work. And Versace has never gone bust, never been really in trouble. A little bit like everybody else. However, I thought it was the moment for a change, for putting a different gear. And for me, she has. But it's interesting to hear that for you, this is the wrong gear. So let's see what the market will say.
I'm not the customer though, right? So, like, I wouldn't say that for me that I'm this customer necessarily. So, although, you know, I'm here to talk about it, it's not, my opinion doesn't really matter, because she does have a loyal fan base, I think. I think she has a really strong supporters, and as a fan and a consumer, not just a customer, but a consumer of a brand, you either decide to move forward with them or you don't. And I think it'll be up to her customers to decide if they're going to move forward. That this gear has switched, definitely. It's just up to them to
She
decide.
might win new ones.
Yeah,
so.
it might win new ones. I mean, I think right now, if we're talking new customers, as in perhaps younger customers with more limited budgets of things to buy, I don't think this would be a thing that a new customer to Versace would be like, oh my god, I have to have that. There are many other. It's so competitive right now.
Yeah, but there's, as you say, a grown-up customer with the means to buy. Maybe they can finally buy some Versace.
If they're finally going to buy some Versace that they've wanted since they were young, which is probably how a lot of people buy fashion, right? You've like a lot of non 1% people, those who are going to spend, you know, their paycheck, essentially, their hard-earned paycheck on 1 or 2 pieces per season. I don't necessarily think that this collection would be the turning point to make them think, you know what, when I was younger, okay, me as an example, when I was younger, Biggie wore Versace, Puff Daddy wore Versace, J-Lo wore Versace, I want Versace now that I'm 31 and I can afford it. This would not tip the scale for me to be like, I'm going to buy my first dress.
Okay, fair enough. So who does?
Oh, Gucci.
Okay,
so
let's go there.
I was thinking, do we have to talk about Versace and
Yes,
Gucci?
we
It's
did
so
that.
exciting.
Well, let me tell you one thing, and everybody knows how excited I am about Gucci
I'm
and what I
so
did for that. However, there is one thing that I'm even more excited about. Is like it's what Gucci did to Milan Fashion Week, and actually to fashion in general.
Tell
There
me,
is
because you were there.
well, first
Tell
of all, the Alessandro Michele effect revitalized Milan completely, and people are talking about the war of the titans, Gucci against Prada. Actually, when I was sitting at the Prada show, which was probably, I mean, I adore Prada, but that was even uber adorable. I mean, it was probably one of the best shows I've seen and one of the highest clapping I've seen the whole month. But I felt that Miuccia woke up one morning and she said, now I show you how to do it. Because when Alessandro started with this new Gucci, some people were like, yeah, but it's a little bit more Prada than Gucci. And she's like, what the heck, you know?
Yeah.
I am Miuccia Prada.
Yeah.
And so I love the fact. And then all the other shows in between, not all of them, but the minor or the less talented, there was a little bit of Prada or a little bit of Gucci in it. Like in Paris, there's a little bit of Nicolas Ghesquière and a little bit of Hedi Slimane. And I think it's fantastic because they're the two best shows.
So great.
And this Gucci show was absolutely incredible.
So good, so exciting, so like makes me want things.
70 looks, 70s, 70 models.
When it first started happening, I was like, this is really random. I was like, so random, but that's
what's good about
that's
that.
what's great about
Exactly.
it. And I love that he's, do you know what, I think the role, what I often think when it's a big commercial house like this, you have to, the designer, the creative director has to suck in all of the things in art, in politics, in technology, in the street, and like vomit it back out.
That's
because
exactly
it's like
what he
a
does.
cultural zeitgeist, right? And when I see this, I'm like, everything that's happening right now is
I can
is
tell
here.
you the most moving moment was when, and that's when I counted them, was when they were coming up for the finale, and it was very long.
Yeah.
It was a show only on one side, so there was this wall of like Chinese walls that were, it was 3D. The light was making a 3D effect, and you had the feeling that the model were walking into flowers. That were, it was just mind blowing.
It just
but
looks
we
so
were all
epic.
on one side,
Like,
so
look
you
at
were
that
not
skirt.
distracted by the
Other
editor
people.
opposite
Okay,
you, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And then when they came out for the finale, you had 70 looks, totally random, walking and thinking, I want more, I want more.
But
And that's it. He put the world of today on the stage.
That's what I'm saying.
He said
It's
the
so
world
relevant.
is random. That's what people
Yeah.
want. And he put it on the stage, and that's absolutely genius.
Do you know what else as well I love about it? It started, like I said, I was like, this is so random. But then as they come out, I was like, no, I can totally see this as almost like a high school, like a gang, like a clique where everyone has their own, especially because the girls have got glasses.
Something
they look
for
a bit,
everyone.
They look a bit like they're going to school or college in the 70s. And I'm like, this is great because everybody has their own look. And you don't necessarily want a school or a gang where everyone's exactly the same. Like, the beauty of gangs is when you all complement it's like the Spice Girls is the perfect gang, right? They're all a bit different, but together they're amazing. I was just like look at that, it's so beautiful, those pink and red.
But you know,
and gold.
I think that Gucci is most of every other is the brand that you can photograph alone, because if people don't know, it could be different brands, and I think, but then it's Gucci, and I think that's genius. But the best is when you go to the store, the new concept store. The best one is in Milan, and you can't resist. You will spend money when you go there. Everything is hanging together. You have the feeling that there's no season, there's no gender, and then all of those pieces that they look bonkers there. Actually, everything is so desirable because you pick one and you wear it your way, and it will look good. And no matter what people say, this is what the world is today. This is what is relevant with a capital R, and I loved it.
It just felt so cool and so now, and I wanted everything.
You want it all.
Everything.
It's so desirable.
Like like all of the motifs, like the snake. I love that he's bringing back this animal, like the snake, and on his Instagram, which I look at, and I think is an amazing visual mood board.
Yes.
The image of the tiger with just Gucci above it. It's almost like he's reappropriating his own brand, almost. You know, he's acting like an outsider, reappropriating what's inside.
But he's doing exactly that because he's been in Gucci for years.
But he seems like an outsider.
Silently.
Yeah, but the way he's acting, I think, is that he's like, even, you know, people have talked about he's used this graffiti artist. That is something that an outsider is like remixing what they see as a brand. You know, when people do collaborations, like, they go into the archive and they look at everything and they put their own spin on it. And I think he's acting like he's not part of it. Like he's just having fun and playing, and there's so much cool stuff in there. You said the
vomited out before, the word vomited out, and that's what I've been saying for now 2 seasons. He's been silently within for years, being a good soldier, being the head of accessories first and then the head of design, and doing what was someone else's vision, doing it well, and then one day someone tells him, you know what, show me your vision, and
it's like, I'm a butterfly,
it came out as a volcano. He vomited it out. Look at this green dress. He vomited it out in a random way. It's all these ideas that he had, and it's so incredible.
The accessories, I didn't know he did the accessories.
Yeah, he did the accessories in Fendi with Frida Giannini, and then they were hired by Tom Ford for Gucci.
The accessories are incredible. Those shoes, I moved to West London lately, so the first thing I bought, I always have loafers, but the first thing I bought, I'm West London.
The new Gucci loafers.
I bought Baswegians because I like, they're very traditional, and I bought them like last summer, and I've been wearing my loafers, and I was like, I need Gucci loafers. Yeah. Like, I need to get them right now.
My only problem with Gucci loafers today, I have an old pair of Gucci loafers that I've taken back out, but is that at Fashion Week?
Everyone wears them.
Especially the one with the fur in the back.
I know. So that's why I kind of like wearing Baswegians, because it's like super traditional. But you know, this is just like,
you can go on and look at it and
there's so many things in it. And even like you guys saw today, I came in my Chinese print jacket because I'm just like, I want to feel it right now. Like, I want to feel part of this. I don't want to have to wait 6 months. And you know, this is a big conversation right now that's happening in fashion, but I'm like, this right now is going to be my summer. We're in March, and I'm going to ride this whole vibe, the clashing of the green and the red, everything.
And then you can start saving to then buy something from this collection when it
comes out. Yeah.
But let's talk a little bit about Prada, because that was an exquisite collection, and it was very emotional. The way it was set, the music, the styling. I think Miuccia is the queen. I mean, of course, she doesn't do it alone, but the styling was amazing, and the fact that even in the men's collection 3 months before, she put those cross the body short bags, and then you saw them in Paris everywhere. So you know, as usual, Miuccia is the school for everybody, is inspiring everybody. So what do you think about this? How do you think that it was revitalized also by the effect of Alessandro Michele?
For me, when you look at this one and Gucci, you're like, both of them are a mishmash of different eras, different places in the world. But this is so much more like somber. I'm not sure
Yeah.
if that's even the right word.
Well-
Just because the colours are muted, it seems more somber. But,
that's
you know
Miuccia
that the
Prada.
you know that the message is deeper.
Yeah.
You know that the message
Absolutely.
is so you stop because you're like, hang on, the surface isn't so shiny, so let me just dig in a little bit more as to
Well, you
what's
stop
actually
because there's
happening.
something
Yeah,
deep
there's
in
something
there that you
deeper,
feel.
but you have to. It draws you in more. Whereas I think with Gucci, it's like shiny sequins,
It's
glitter,
easier. You
print.
just see
it's
it
easier.
there, yeah.
It's easier for someone to dissect. But
Interesting,
this,
yes.
you have to take a little bit of time and absorb it. And
But that's always been very much Prada, you know.
Definitely.
My only problem here is that there's so many desirable things here as well, and I would want it all, but then mostly they won't be in the store. While Gucci, you go to the store and you feel
everything's
you're
there.
backstage at the show.
everything's there.
And you're like, oh, finally, you know, and that's, I think, it's very important because here, I'm not sure that those boots, those
Why
walking
do
boots
you
that I
not
will
think-
want more
why
than
do-
anything else.
Why?
I don't know because maybe someone thinks it's not commercial, but I think this is Prada. Yeah, there will be some of it, but not sure there will be a lot of that.
I think it's super commercial, and I think it's also got so many like markers of Prada, even from when I was a kid and reading magazines and looking at Prada, like nylon pieces and
Yeah, that was
zips
Prada at
and
the time,
yeah,
yeah.
it's so Prada. And the shoes, always such good shoes that you really want. So I just think it is commercial. You would buy it. You would buy all of those things without necessarily the accessories. You don't need the keys.
Oh, I
You
would
don't
if
necessarily
they
need-
sell it. So I don't know, maybe we should see what happens in 6 months and we will be able to tell. But 1 year ago, they showed an amazing collection with those suits in pastel colors and they were not in store.
What do you think about
None of
this
them.
message she's trying to send? That
Sorry, I
Did
don't
you-
understand the question.
did you see her backstage interview? What was she saying? You were there.
Well, I didn't go backstage,
Oh.
so I did. Which one? Which interview?
For this show, I read that she was 3 deep with journalists saying that she thinks this is how women are now.
And this is what? This is like free and
Yeah,
and wearing what they want.
she said
and-
that there'd be this thing where there's a girl standing getting dressed with all her clothes on the floor and deciding who to be today.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I think it is nice. I
And
think
that's the bonker.
the
styling.
mishmash element
Yeah.
of it. But I think it's really beautiful.
But then if you look at these pieces from clothes, it's like amazing. They're so beautiful and so desirable and so elegant, you know. I mean, of course, I probably would wear that jacket with a skirt or a pair of trousers.
Yeah, of course.
But
you would.
it's beautiful. So do you think that there is the Gucci effect on Queen Miuccia as well, or do you think this is not true at all?
No way. I don't think in a million
needs that.
years she would be looking at anyone else for anything. I can't even
Yeah,
just
but you can
fathom
still
that.
but you can still be influenced by the fact that someone is becoming the talk in town, where for years now people were saying thank God for Prada in Milan. We didn't even want to go, and then suddenly there's someone else that everybody wants to see.
No, I don't know, I can't imagine that she would ever have
Care
that.
about that.
No. Like, why? This is the original, like, of
Yeah.
what she does is so specific. I think if anything, you look at Gucci and like, oh, it's like Prada but shinier, in that it is all mishmash and it's historical and it has like Renaissance reference with current Instagram references of things that are cool. I just don't imagine that she's looking.
Good.
I just don't.
Well, I think it's very well said, because probably she deserves someone to say that.
Like, you see this and I'm like, okay, I can see all these references. You can see World War II. You can see like definite turn of the century things, the Argyle socks. It's like a bit British,
Yes.
a bit. It's just, there's so much stuff going on for you to look at, but you have to look. It's a bit harder to, like I said, decipher all those messages.
Yeah.
Whereas I think with Gucci, you're like, okay, I can see Chinese prints, I can see street style
I also
bomber,
think
I
you
can
don't
see, like,
need
a
to
70s
decipher
thing.
many messages with Gucci. As you say, it's more visual, it's more immediate than this, where you want to try and understand something. But
do
before hold on,
Yeah.
before we finish, and I know I'm cutting back to London because we left our audience last time. Would you wanted to say something about the British Fashion Council? And I was thinking about that because in Italy there's been a change in management of the Camera Nazionale della Moda,
Yeah.
which is the BFC, and I think we start feeling it. The week was much more interesting. Things were happening in a more organic way. So what was about the BFC that you want to say?
Well, I think you're in a better place to say, if there's been a change in Milan and you notice that change, what are the pros and cons of changing the organisational structure of the people who run fashion weeks?
Oh, I think they're only
Like
pros.
what happened?
I believe in change.
So what happened? Tell me something concrete that you noticed that was different.
Well, I think there is, it's very different in Milan and London, because Milan is more, it's been there forever, it's more historical, but there was a moment where in Milan we felt the fact that the power was in the hand of people above 60. And I'm not saying above 40, I'm saying above 60. And so there was this powerful triumvirate. There were not three, there were 5 or 6 of men, especially men, sitting there and making decisions. And there was nothing coming up behind to refresh, and it was becoming boring and always the same. And then now, rightly or wrongly, there are new designers that are shown in Milan. There are new people that are in the calendar in a way that they will be seen, and not at the beginning or at the end when everybody's not yet there or already gone. And there is this willingness of reshuffling the old for some new. Whilst London traditionally has been the upcoming, the new crazy creative people, but then they complain because they have no help. So I don't know if that's what you wanted to say.
Well, I just think that I always used to think that how embarrassing sometimes for people to come to London after they've been elsewhere where things seem so like slick and organised, and then you come into this car park that I hate that location.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
I just think it's the stupidest location ever. It's on a street where you can't drive down. Like, it's impossible. It's so like a horrible maze. It just seems like, it seems a bit embarrassing. And I hate using that word, but you know what I mean? It doesn't have the wow. Like when you go to Paris, it is wow. Like you see all these incredible old buildings. We have incredible old buildings in London. We have amazing buildings.
Yeah, and I love the Somerset House, I must say.
Yeah, Somerset House was stunning. You really got like some drama and history. And I think that I love when I didn't go to shows in Paris, but when I was there for 2 days, I saw people like going to different shows, and I was like, okay, there's a huge, beautiful building that's no doubt empty. There must be a show in there. We have the same thing in London, and I think it's a little bit non-exploratory, and it doesn't go outside of its comfort zone of repeating the same thing that happens like all the time, every season.
Yeah,
I find it really repetitive.
But I don't have the feeling that here it's disorganized and not
disorganized, but I just think it could be way more bigger and beautiful, and I just don't think it's that beautiful.
Yeah, but you don't have many brands in London that are as wealthy as Burberry, who can afford to build a tent in Hyde Park for 2 weeks of building and 60-minute show. So you also have to think about the fact that here it's younger and smaller, and so
true.
And also
isn't
Paris
the role
is Paris.
of them to support?
Don't get me wrong.
Isn't the role to support? Like
No,
the role
yeah,
is to support,
but
and I think if a young designer doesn't have the facilities and the ability to show in like any of the many amazing buildings we have in London, shouldn't that be where the BFC comes as a guide and mentor, and using their contacts and connections to do that kind of thing? And like, because I'm not involved in the BFC in any way, like, correct me if I'm wrong, that to me it's almost like a group to mentor, guide, grow, help, but I don't really see that happening. That's just me.
Okay, well, on these words.
Tell me what you think.
No. But I'll see you soon, hopefully.
Okay.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.